and start recording. The Housing First Subcommittee meeting has now commenced. It is August 31. No, it's not. What's the date today?
Did I put the wrong date in?
Yep, it's August 27th at 4. This meeting is being held virtually. For those who are participating remotely, we ask that you mute yourselves until called upon to speak to avoid feedback and background noise. For those who have dialed in using the call-in number, to unmute, dial *6 on your phone and only use the chat function to request to speak. Also, to comply with the state open meeting law, attendance and votes will be done by way of roll call using audio. This meeting is being recorded. To comply with the state open meeting law, attendance and votes will be done by way of roll call using audio, not by using the chat function. I'm the chair of the Housing First Subcommittee, Tisha Tallman here. Mindy Bernstein?
Here.
Mark Clark?
I'm here.
And Wendy Asher is not present. The first item on the agenda is approval of July meetings. Has everyone had an opportunity to take a look? Very good. Are there any objections to the approval of the meeting? No objections. We'll go ahead and approve the July meeting minutes. Agenda item number 2 is the Housing First update. If we could go ahead and have someone do that update. Is that you, Elaine? Very good.
Yeah, everybody. So, hi, my name is Elaine. I'm the Homeless Systems Services Supervisor that works specifically with the Continuum of Care lead entity. That's for the lead agency for the Tucson Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness. So the Housing First department does tons of really great work, and I don't work directly in that department, but I can tell you that that department is a very, it's a huge growing staff of like 40 plus people at this point. Comprised mostly of folks with lived experience who are now delivering services to folks who are, they're doing outreach, they're working directly with folks who are in encampments, they're also supporting folks who are housed in vouchers, whether they're, Section 8 vouchers or permanent housing vouchers through COC supportive housing. So they're doing lots of good work all the time. In addition, something that I've been working closely with as the COC lead is the kind of cross-sector initiative with the Housing Central Command. So far, this is an approach where we, use kind of a site-based approach to address unsheltered homelessness by meeting with encampments and housing folks directly out of the encampments so that they're being housed and not kind of pushed around. We've engaged with 175 folks through this initiative, and the most current housed numbers is at 73. And this initiative has been going for about 7 months. And so, just looking at the data of length in time from identified to housing, it's been kind of pushing the needle on how we approach unsheltered homelessness in a really effective way. So, and we've also had really incredible voluntary support from Primavera, actually, in delivering those services to folks. So it's been really, really great. Outside of that, currently the Continuum of Care is running its annual competition for funds. So all COC funded entities in our community are having their applications underway to get those applications in. So that's what's happening on our side of the house as far as homeless services is concerned.
Can I jump in for a quick minute to add to Elaine? Thanks,
Please.
Elaine. Just a couple of announcements. Please put on your calendars and you'll receive more information about this soon. But on Friday, October 11th, Homeless Connect, a nonprofit organization that supports unsheltered individuals, and the MDOT group, which is the multidisciplinary outreach team as part of Housing First, will hold a day-long resource fair at Rudy Garcia Park at Nogales Highway and Irvington. The one-stop event will help individuals obtain services in health screening, behavioral health, veteran benefits, food, shelter, legal assistance, clothing, haircuts, animal care, and more. So again, that's Friday, October 11th. And very important, the organizers need 300 volunteers. So when you do receive the press release, please share it with your networks, and ask for your friends, family, and yourselves to volunteer. One last note, last week, Elaine helped organize the receiving of 10,000 blankets from FEMA. A small crew of city employees from Housing First, MDOT, and Housing Community Development were in the hot sun unloading two very large trailers. So again, 10,000 blankets. Thank you.
I have my hand up.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I am so sorry. October the 11th is the beginning of a very important Jewish high holiday. Starts in that afternoon, and very often I'll probably be traveling to my sister's for the high holiday. And I'm asking in the future, when planning events that are as important as this, to look at the calendar and include and recognize that it's falling on a high holiday when many Jewish people travel and be with their families or are preparing.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. I'll pass that information on to the organizers, but also, again, share the information with your networks. Thank you.
I would be happy to do that. I just can't go.
Mark, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Ernesto, for the update. Mindy, did you? I'm sorry, go ahead.
For Elaine, thank you for doing the work. Truly. Of the 170 people that you encountered and spoke with and found housing for 73 of them, would more people have been willing to move into some kind of housing? Was it a lack of units available, or were people not interested?
Great question. And I should clarify, there's a series of other metrics I just didn't include. So there's actually people fall into other buckets, right? So the 73 number is just those who are housed. That being said, there are 35 other applications that are submitted right now in this moment that theoretically is going to lead to 35 more people being housed. Beyond that, there's 82 people who are getting their documents. We call this stage of the housing process being document ready, right? Having all the stuff that they need to apply for a unit, like a photo ID, et cetera. We have 90 people who are enrolled, so they've been matched with the housing provider, but they haven't gotten to the point in their process where they've gathered their documents yet. We have 137 people referred. So the real number of those who are not engaging is I'm not equipped to do math at this moment, but let me see if I can have my computer do it for me. 172 people minus 137 who are enrolled. That's 35 people of the total who have not engaged really at all. And there's like, you know, a lot of different reasons why somebody might not want to engage. We have actually found there are units available. Our process for how we house folks needs to be kind of like streamlined and made to be more efficient. And so we have done a lot of work, and I would be happy to talk, you know, to provide actually our little white paper for you all to take a look at if you want to review that in depth and see our approach and how we do that. It's not a shortage of units. It's more that many folks have gone through the homeless response system several times. Many have experienced lots and lots of trauma. And so they are really hesitant to engage in services that, for whatever reason, didn't meet their needs in the way that they needed them to. So some folks also are highly mobile and they're moving around a lot, and so they don't end up staying at the camp by the time we're done doing our intervention. So it's a really good question. It's a lot of reasons, I think, but primarily it's like just really high levels of the experience of trauma and not wanting to go through the system again to have a negative outcome. And that's really what the work is. The work is how do we take the current state of the homeless response system, which, as you all know, is incredibly overburdened and very, very strained, and still find ways to strategically flex it to rapidly move people into housing very quickly, which is really difficult to do with folks who have really, really high barriers and lots of things that prevent them from moving into a new unit.
Thank you.
And to be clear, I'm so sorry, I don't do the direct service. I want to give all the credit to the folks like People on Housing First and our providers, CBI, Primavera, OPCS, who are doing really, really good work out there. So they are carrying a lot and they're doing it really well with like enormous dignity and really good trauma informed work.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Neto. We can go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, which is discussion amongst the commissioners regarding recommendations, if any, we have for the full commission. So I think at this point, we just recap what we've done over the last few sessions. One was talking to a nonprofit on the homing project, I believe was one of them. Another one was talking to Phoenix, the city of Phoenix, on all of their initiatives, including a very controlled site of sanctioned encampments. And then we also had another individual. Mindy, can you refresh our memory on that?
I just found him. I can go get my phone. He, I think, his first name is Dave. I believe he may have presented to the commission quite a while ago, but he's getting the boxcars from the border and has a whole agency. Hold on, let me get my phone. I took a picture. My shipping container houses. It's called Holistic Transformations is the name of the agency. And they are building little housing for children, for young adults moving out of foster care. That's their focus. However, they are coming up already with a design and working with the state to purchase them. So it's sort of not so that we wouldn't have, if there wouldn't be a need to recreate the wheel completely from scratch. It's already a process that's in the pipeline, which I really like. Maybe we can have him come and talk. I was going to contact him today, did not get a chance.
Okay. Well, I think then if we want to bring him and have him speak, then we might want to postpone some recommendations to the full commission until we have an opportunity. You don't want to do that? Okay. Well, then how would you like to proceed?
I only say no because I just don't want to wait another month and another month. And
Gotcha.
for me, he could be invited to attend the commit. I can reach out to him to see if he might be a participant and have 3 minutes for call to audience. If he'd be willing to talk about what he's doing.
Well, I'll leave that to you. It's too late to do a agenda item for the full commission. I do know that.
He could be a call to the audience for 3 minutes.
I'll leave that to you on that, Mindy, whatever you'd like to do. But with the folks that we've already had talk to us and some of the research that has been conducted, the question is, do we want to make recommendations to the full commission? And if so, what do we want to be those full recommendations? I know we've had difficulty obtaining one of the PowerPoints. Is that right, Neto? I think
I'm
it's the
sorry,
home-
Tisha, ask me again?
We've had difficulty obtaining one of the PowerPoints from a presenter. Was it the homing project
Correct.
presentation?
Correct. We have not received a presentation that you can view.
Okay, so the presentations that we do have and we've circulated is the City of Phoenix. Did we have anything else that we could present to the full commission? Does anybody recall? Nope. All right, so what would you all like to do in regards to recommendations? Ernesto, do you have your hand up?
I do. Thank you, Tisha. Just to Mindy's point about inviting someone to speak during the commission in the call to audience portion, just a reminder that yes, anyone can speak, but the commissioners cannot discuss an off-agenda item.
Okay,
Thank you, Neto.
I'm going to run and get my hearing aids, so I'll be right back. I can
Okay.
still hear. It's not like I'm really leaving.
Okay. So we'll wait till when Mindy gets back and then we'll have a discussion on whether or not we want to make a recommendation. And that, am I correct, Neto? We just have the one PowerPoint from the City of Phoenix?
Correct.
Okay,
While we're talking, I'll double check on our.
okay. Okay, Mindy, Neto's double checking to see if that's the one PowerPoint we have is from the City of Phoenix. From the homing project and the City of Phoenix discussion, are there things that we would like to recommend for consideration by the full board?
Tisha, if I can interrupt, we also had a presentation from Elizabeth Da Costa on the Medicare, the access presentation.
Housing Services Program Accelerator called
Thank you, Mark.
H2O from Access, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So those two, Da Costa and the City of Phoenix were presented at the July meeting.
So are there any recommendations that we would like? And if so, how should that be presented? Whether we should suggest that they invite the City of Phoenix person and or Elizabeth Da Costa, or that we just make our recommendations, provide PowerPoint? How would y'all like to proceed?
I have another question.
Sure.
I know that Wendy's not here. How are you both feeling? And Michael is on too, I see. How are you feeling about bringing this as a topic to the full commission?
I think it's a good idea to bring something that we feel may be a recommended consideration. I'm inclined to suggest that the full commission hear the City of Phoenix. I don't know if this will be new information or how much of it will be new, but I do think that the City of Phoenix has some information in there that could be helpful if it already hasn't been exchanged, but I'm not confident that the City of Tucson, the mayor's office, and city council members haven't already somehow been privy to everything that goes on with the City of Phoenix, but I don't know. Mark, do you have some thoughts?
Well, I'm not exactly clear I'm not exactly clear what our goal is here. I I definitely think if we want to make some kind of a recommendation, I would want to see to some degree in some kind of writing what our recommendation is. A little, which I don't feel, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Mindy, I know you've been very supportive, very engaged and supportive of sanctioned camping, or some sort of, well, sanctioned camping is the term you used, although I think you've also, it looks like looking at tiny border wall shipping container structures. I suppose a recommendation about to the mayor and council, to the commission for possible suggestions to mayor and to staff at mayor and council about whether that's a direction we want to go in. I'm much more interested in more permanent approaches than what historically has been my perspective. What those two particular options are. I mean, that's kind of my thought, but.
Well, I think what we could do is state that we had a process where we did some research, we invited some speakers, and of the speakers, we think that maybe the full commission would like to hear 1, 2, or 3. But I don't know that we even have to make a recommendation as much as we
Right.
say, we'd like the full commission to hear the city of Phoenix out on some of their different programming and services that they've offered in the city of Phoenix. And then whether or not the full commission decides to invite the person and entertain it for an agenda item is up to the full commission. But I think at minimum, just providing that information and the opportunity for them to hear what we heard. There are only 3 of us, so I am a little bit hesitant in making some sort of recommendation on the very limited information that we did receive. However, I think the full commission might be able to engage in a more robust discussion with at least with the city of Phoenix speaker.
So I just, as a person who was born in Phoenix and grew up there, and has paid attention, certainly, way back in ancient history, in the 80s when we were looking at initial responses, we definitely went up and looked at Phoenix's responses, and decided we didn't want to go in that direction. What was that predecessor of the planning of the continuum of care committee now decided that. I think part of the problem, we have a similar experience in looking at aging services where the money that they have up there, the resources they have, is so much greater than what we realistically have, that trying to look at their approaches, it is, I think, is problematic. It may be relatively unrealistic, I guess I'm saying. And I also think that, what the city of Tucson, it appears to me that the city of Tucson on a somewhat smaller scale is doing a lot of the same kind of programming that they're doing up there. And so I'm never very excited, although we ripped off a couple of aging service models out of Maricopa County and applied them down here, and actually to some degree expanded on a couple of them. So that's that. I don't think there's anything wrong with hearing what people have to say, but I'm a little bit concerned about getting people excited about what I perceive to be relatively unrealistic scale of initiatives up there. So for down here.
There
Go
is,
ahead, Mindy.
there is, Joe from the Homing Project, who
Are you
is
talking about Home Inc?
homing. It's called the Homing Project.
Oh, okay. Home Inc. All right.
And
That's the container, shipping container,
no,
right? No? Oh.
no,
Pallet shelters.
they
Oh.
are Pallet. And Pallet only sells their structures to entities that are building a village that has wraparound services, such as case management, social workers, medical, everything that we would want to see in a low barrier housing first model. So they have, and I had it here. So Joe had talked about that they can build them for about, well, I don't want to say that there's one of the biggest expenses for the pallet or tiny home. And Mark, I've thought a lot about the sanctioned campgrounds versus a pallet or tiny micro home village is the sense of dignity that people could possibly have living within four walls rather than canvas or one of the biggest expenses is plumbing, and they are now coming out with new kinds of toilets that use ignition. So when you flush, everything ignites. You don't need a sewer. You just need gray water. So the expenses, yeah. I'm asking this because I don't want, I feel uncomfortable moving forward unless other subcommittee members are on board with the concept of bringing to the full commission the concepts of tiny home, micro home, villages, or sanctioned camping, which is Phoenix's model. That doesn't have to be our model, but there's our own hybrid. So my question, Mark, for you is it something you're comfortable with bringing as a subcommittee member to the full commission, the concept of we have done research and that we want to move it forward for the full commission to take on as a agenda topic?
Well, I guess my sense is, or my opinion, my thought is that I'm one voice here, and so I'm not sure. And I don't know that I've heard. Well, I guess Tisha, you probably did express an opinion. I mean, if we want to have, I'm probably more interested in bringing that forward than whatever than the City of Phoenix model work. And if that's what we feel, if that's what the two of you feel is where we're going to go. I'm not going to like pound on my shoe on the table and say no, 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 we can't do it. And we'll probably more or less keep my mouth shut during the meeting, depending. So
I hear you and I agree with you about having more permanent kind of buildings, apartments for people to move into. And that was my preference as well. And I am understanding that it takes years to get something built. Bricks and mortar. So during those years, when we have so many hundreds of people without anything, that this is a stopgap.
well, I don't. Well, I mean, housing building is one thing, but I mean, we house lots of people in the city of Tucson with tenant assistance, with rental assistance, and so I mean, those are so I do believe that we have a supply problem, but I don't know that it's either. We either wait until we get a whole lot of new apartments built or other kinds of housing, or we go, or I just, well, I'm confused myself now.
You didn't.
So
Will you? We're talking about doing nothing,
doing
continuing,
what?
doing what we're doing now, continuing as is, or bringing a suggestion forward of the possibility of getting people into a safer environment quicker.
Well, I think one thing that we could probably do is the 2 PowerPoints that we have, we could go ahead and have Neto attach it to the agenda for the Thursday meeting, not as a discussion item, but, and I don't believe we have an agenda item. I think Jim decided that we can just do our update through the customary committee updates. And so during that time, I could just say that we don't have a particular recommendation at this time, or have come to a consensus on any recommendations, but we do have these 2 pieces of information we want to pass on to the full board. And if they would like, if people individually decide that they'd like to hear from any of the individuals in which we've spoken to, that we can certainly add it to an agenda item through Jim, or I'm sorry, I guess it's now not Jim.
Jay.
Jay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
But again, you can do this through your Housing First update.
Yep.
And I will attach the items to the main agenda.
Great. So let's attach those. And then let's see if it sparks some interest by the other commissioners, and then maybe we'll move forward. What we could do too, Mindy, since you brought up this other person, we'll go ahead and provide those presentations this Thursday. And then if you would like us to arrange for this other person to come speak to us, we can certainly continue that discovery process.
Yeah. I am hoping that we get to a place where we feel comfortable recommending that the city of Tucson consider building and developing micro home villages, including the boxcars, the X-Men that they're doing up in Phoenix. I feel so much energy towards this is the right way to move now, to get people to get people into something safe versus waiting.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and provide the 2 presentations and say that there is an interest. I understand, Mindy, I'm inclined to be with you on that as well, saying that we're just trying to come up with some stopgap measures, realizing that it's going to take a while for some permanency and increasing in housing units.
Mark just asked, was there a change in the chair?
Tisha answered.
Yeah, Jay's going to be the new chair.
Okay. I missed
Okay.
it.
Mindy, do you want to call this other person that you had referenced earlier?
Yes.
Okay, and that person's name is, again?
I think it's Dave. I have to watch a video.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and get with Neto and provide that name to Neto, and then if you or him or both of you want to go ahead and make that invitation for the next meeting, we can add that as an agenda item. Okay. Okay, with that, are we closed on the discussion under this agenda item number 3?
Just for clarity, because I haven't gotten a copy of the agenda, what's it labeled as, please?
Discussion.
Okay, thank you.
HFS recommendations of full CEHD. Number 3. Okay, at this time, we'll move on to agenda item number 4, called the audience. This is the time when any member of the public may address the Housing First Subcommittee. Due to time constraints, the total time allotted is 15 minutes. Individuals are allowed 3 minutes each. Due to open meeting law, commission members cannot discuss topics that are not on the agenda. Items brought up by the public may be considered as an agenda item for a future meeting. With that, we'll go ahead and make a call to the audience.
There are several people in the audience, but no hands up yet. Ronisha, Natalie.
Okay. Okay. With no hands raised, we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is additional research, agenda item number 5. I think here is where we'll go ahead and say that Mindy and Ernesto will be in contact about the holistic transformation individual that has created structures out of boxcars. Any other additional research items that anyone would like to handle for the next meeting? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead to next steps. Neto, I see for an agenda item, it will be holistic transformation speaker. We will also need an HCD Housing First update. Anyone else like anything else on the agenda for our next meeting? Nope. Okay, it looks like our next meeting is September 24th, and the full commission is this Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Oh, I'm sorry, next Thursday, September 5th. Those are all the agenda items. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tisha.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.